He stood between the princess and danger. The queen declared him hers. The streets were busy with humans going about their daily lives. Hovering vehicles zipped through the air, while on the ground, children played near the crystal fountains, and merchants called out to passers-by. Inside the palace, the atmosphere was calm, almost peaceful, a stark contrast to the activity outside. Princess Alara walked through the long hallways of the palace, her steps echoing softly on the polished floors. She had been studying maps of the surrounding colony, trying to understand the layout in case of an emergency. Her curiosity about the planet's defenses and the lives of its people often kept her away from the luxurious life expected of royalty. She believed that knowing her people and the land she would one day rule was more important than wearing fine clothes or attending endless formal ceremonies. Suddenly, a distant hum filled the air. Alara paused, sensing that something was wrong. The hum quickly grew louder, and then the calm morning erupted into chaos. Explosions shook the outer walls, and alarms began to wail throughout the palace. Soldiers ran in every direction, their armored suits clanking as they rushed to defensive positions. "Princess, get to safety," shouted one of the palace guards, grabbing her arm and trying to pull her toward the secure chambers. But Alara shook her head. She refused to be hidden away while danger threatened her people. She ran toward the balcony overlooking the main courtyard, her eyes scanning for the source of the attack. In the sky, alien ships, dark, jagged, and unlike anything the colonists had seen, descended rapidly. They fired energy beams that cut through defensive shields with frightening precision. Alara's heart pounded as she watched soldiers engage the intruders, only to be forced back by the aliens' advanced weaponry. The sound of laser fire and explosions filled the air, mixing with the screams of frightened citizens outside the palace walls. Then she saw him. A man, unknown to her, stood at the edge of the courtyard, facing the advancing attackers without hesitation. His armor was dark but sleek, and his movements were quick and deliberate. He held a strange weapon that fired bolts of light, each one striking the aliens with deadly accuracy. The soldier moved with such skill that he seemed untouchable, dodging blasts and retaliating in ways that left even the palace guards stunned. Without thinking, Alara ran toward him. She knew it was dangerous, but something about his courage drew her in. She could see the aliens shifting their attention toward him, clearly recognizing him as a threat. And then, in a moment that would never leave her memory, he turned, firing precise shots that cut down the attackers around him. "Stay behind me," he shouted, his voice firm but calm. Alara froze, realizing he was not only protecting himself but also making sure she stayed safe. She had never felt such strength and authority from anyone before. The battle was fierce. Alien forces pressed forward, and the man moved like a shadow, striking them with skill that seemed almost inhuman. He leapt over walls, slid under energy blasts, and used his environment to his advantage. The palace guards tried to follow his lead, but none could match his speed or precision. In the midst of it all, Alara felt a strange mix of fear and admiration. This stranger had stepped into a storm of danger that she would never have survived on her own. Minutes felt like hours. Every time an alien came too close, he was there to intercept it. And every time he moved, Alara could see a combination of strategy, bravery, and determination in his actions. He was more than a soldier. He was a force of nature. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the aliens retreated. Their ships rose into the sky and disappeared beyond the clouds, leaving behind scorched ground and shattered defenses. Smoke and dust filled the courtyard, and the air smelled of burnt metal and ozone. Alara ran to the man, her heart still racing. Are you hurt?" she asked, her voice trembling. He shook his head, but there was a faint cut along his jaw and dirt smudged his armor. "I'm fine," he said simply, though the tone of his voice carried exhaustion. "Are you okay?" Alara nodded, still trying to process everything she had witnessed. You saved my life," she said softly, almost in disbelief. He glanced at her and nodded. "It's my duty to protect," he said. There was something in his eyes, a quiet determination that made it clear he did not expect praise. The palace guards approached cautiously, eyeing the stranger with suspicion. "Who are you?" one demanded. "How did you get here?" "I'm here to help," he replied without revealing his name. His focus remained on the surroundings, alert for any sign of the aliens returning. Alara noticed that his eyes scanned not only the immediate area, but also the distant horizon. as if he were anticipating threats the rest of them could not see. The queen arrived shortly after, her presence commanding immediate attention. She was tall and regal with a voice that could cut through the chaos. "Report," she demanded, looking at the soldier. "Attackers retreated, Your Majesty. No one in the palace is seriously injured," the soldier said. His words were precise, almost formal, though his expression remained calm. The queen's gaze shifted to him, curious and calculating. She noticed the scars on his face, the worn look in his armor, and the way he carried himself with confidence and skill. There was something unusual about him, something that set him apart from every other soldier she had ever seen. "You are human?" she asked, her voice sharp. "Yes, Your Majesty," he answered. "And yet you fought as if you were born for battle," she observed. "Who are you?" The soldier hesitated, then said simply, "I'm someone who protects those in danger. That is all that matters." The queen studied him for a moment longer, then nodded. There was a subtle acknowledgement in her eyes, a recognition that he was extraordinary, someone whose presence might change the fate of her people. Alara stayed close to him, still amazed by everything she had witnessed. "Why did you risk your life for me?" she asked. He looked at her, his expression calm but sincere. "Because your life matters. You are important to more than yourself. Protecting you protects your people, and your people are worth protecting." The princess could not speak. She had never met anyone who spoke with such conviction, and yet it was not arrogance. It was truth. The aftermath of the attack was chaotic. Engineers began repairing the damage, medics attended to the injured, and the palace council gathered to discuss security. But Alara's attention remained on the stranger. He moved quietly through the crowd, helping where needed without seeking recognition. Every time an injured guard cried out, he was there to assist. Every time a fallen piece of machinery blocked a path, he cleared it with ease. Later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the city, Alara found herself walking beside him in one of the palace gardens. The air was heavy with the scent of flowers and the faint smoke from the earlier attack. She glanced at him, noticing the exhaustion in his posture, though he did not complain. "Do you ever rest?" she asked gently. He smiled faintly. "Rest comes when it is safe. Right now there is still much to do." Alara shook her head, impressed and worried at the same time. "You are incredible. I have never seen anyone like you." He glanced at her, his eyes thoughtful. "I am only human like you, but humans can do extraordinary things when they must. Today was one of those days." As they walked, a quiet understanding formed between them. Alara realized that this man was different not only because of his skill, but because of his character. He did not fight for glory or power. He fought because it was the right thing to do. Night fell, and the city lights of Urindor shimmered in the distance. The palace was alive with activity, but there was a sense of calm returning. The immediate danger had passed, but Alara knew this was only the beginning. The alien attackers had not come alone. This was part of something larger, something that threatened all of humanity. And yet, in that moment, standing beside the stranger who had risked everything for her, she felt a spark of hope. Perhaps humanity could face this new threat, not just with weapons or technology, but with courage, loyalty, and the bravery of those willing to stand between danger and the innocent. The soldier looked out over the city, his expression unreadable. "They will come back," he said quietly, "and when they do, we must be ready." Alara nodded, her resolve growing. "Then we will be ready together." The man's gaze met hers for a brief moment, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. He did not say it, but she understood. He would stand against any danger, protect those in need, and face whatever came next with courage and skill. For the first time in her life, Alara felt certain of one thing, that humanity, even in the face of unknown threats, had champions worth believing in. And tonight, she would remember the man who had stood between her and danger, the one who had shown her that bravery, even in the darkest moments, could change the course of the future. The next morning, the palace of Urindor buzzed with unusual energy. Alara moved through the grand hallways, her mind still filled with thoughts of the soldier who had risked everything to save her. The events of the previous day played over and over in her mind. The precision of his movements, the calmness in his eyes, and the strange confidence that seemed to follow him wherever he went. She could not forget how he had faced danger without fear, protecting not only her but the people of the palace. In the council chamber, the queen was already holding meetings with her advisors. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, never left the soldier as he stood quietly near the entrance, observing the proceedings. No one had been able to uncover much about him yet. He carried no identification beyond the faint insignia on his armor, and he had given no name. The Queen's curiosity about him grew with every passing hour. "Your Majesty," one of the counselors said, "we need to improve our defenses immediately. If those attackers return, the palace may not withstand them." The Queen nodded, her mind already racing ahead. "I agree. We must strengthen the shields, station more patrols, and ensure our people are safe. But we also need to know who this soldier is. His skills, they surpass even our most trained guards." The soldier stepped forward slightly, catching the Queen's attention. "I can assist with your defenses," he said, his voice calm and steady. "I can train your soldiers, plan strategies, and prepare for future attacks. That is what I do." The Queen studied him for a long moment. She saw not only his ability, but also his loyalty. Few humans she had met could move with such efficiency and courage, and she knew that his presence in the palace could shift the balance in their favor. "Very well," she said finally. "You will lead the defense of this palace and the surrounding city. Your skills will be tested, but I trust you will succeed." The soldier bowed slightly. "I will do what is necessary." Alara watched him closely, feeling a strange mixture of admiration and concern. She wanted to know more about him, yet she sensed that he would reveal nothing unless he chose to. Still, she found herself walking beside him later that morning in the palace gardens, hoping to learn something, anything about him. "Where did you come from?" she asked quietly. "Who trained you to fight like that?" He paused, looking out at the distant mountains, his eyes focused on some unseen point. "I come from many places," he said slowly. "I was trained by those who understand the value of protecting others. My purpose is simple: keep people safe from danger. That is all I can say." Alara nodded, sensing that pressing him further would only make him withdraw. Still, she could not stop her curiosity. "Have you fought against these attackers before? Do you know them?" "No," he answered honestly, "but I have faced others like them. Their methods are predictable once you understand fear and determination. That is what I use." Alara was struck by the clarity in his words. He spoke not of power or weaponry, but of understanding people, of reading situations and acting with intelligence. She realized that this was why he had been so effective against the attackers. His strength came not only from skill, but also from thoughtfulness and careful observation. Meanwhile, the palace council began organizing repairs to the city's defenses. Soldiers trained under the soldier's watchful eye, learning new tactics and strategies. The man moved among them, correcting mistakes, demonstrating maneuvers, and encouraging each person to act with courage. Even those who had once doubted him began to respect his leadership. Despite his focus on duty, Alara noticed moments when he seemed distracted, his gaze drifting to the horizon. She wondered what he was thinking and why he remained so distant despite his heroic actions. She could sense that he carried secrets, but whether they were dangerous or protective, she could not tell. That evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in shades of pink and gold, an urgent message arrived. A scout reported that alien ships had been detected moving toward Urindor from the far edge of the system. They were faster than before and seemed to have adapted to the defenses used against them yesterday. The Queen called an emergency meeting in the central hall. Soldiers, counselors, and strategists gathered, all anxious and tense. The soldier stood at the center, calmly analyzing the reports. His movements were precise as he drew maps in the air, marking potential attack paths and weak points. "They are learning," he said, his voice quiet but commanding. "They will test us first in small numbers, then strike where we are weakest. We must predict their moves and prepare for every possibility. If we fail, many will die." The room fell silent. His words carried weight, and the calmness in his tone only made them realize the seriousness of the situation. Alara watched him closely, seeing the way his mind worked like a machine, calculating outcomes and preparing contingencies. Later, when the meeting ended, the Queen approached him privately. Her expression was unreadable, but there was a glint of interest in her eyes. "You have extraordinary skill," she said softly. "But skill alone does not earn loyalty or respect. How do you know you can trust those around you?" "I do not trust blindly," he said. "I watch, I observe, and I act. Trust comes from action, not words." The Queen nodded slowly, impressed. There was a quiet understanding between them, though neither revealed it openly. The queen could see that this man, unknown and mysterious as he was, had already become indispensable. Meanwhile, Alara could not stop thinking about him. She found herself drawn to his presence, curious about his past, and inspired by his courage. She began spending more time near him, observing his training sessions, asking questions about strategy, and even offering her thoughts on potential defenses. He listened politely, sometimes correcting her gently, but always with patience and attention. Days passed, and the palace slowly returned to a sense of normalcy, though tension remained. Rumors spread about the mysterious soldier and his heroics, and the citizens of Urindor began to whisper of a protector who could face any threat. Alara could see the hope he inspired in people, not just with his strength but with his character. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the city, Alara found the soldier alone near the outer walls. He was inspecting the barriers, ensuring that every panel and shield was functioning perfectly. She approached quietly, not wanting to disturb him but feeling a need to speak with him. "You seem tireless," she said softly. "Doesn't it ever bother you that danger could come again at any moment?" He looked at her, his expression calm but thoughtful. "Danger is always present," he said. "We cannot avoid it. We can only prepare and act when it comes. Fear is not something to be removed. It is something to understand and use to guide our actions." Alara was struck by the simplicity and wisdom of his words. She realized that bravery was not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. She could see why he had stood between her and the attackers without hesitation. As they spoke, a faint vibration ran through the ground, the alert system detecting a ship entering the planet's orbit. The soldier's eyes narrowed, and he immediately moved toward the control center. Alara followed, knowing that another confrontation was imminent. Inside the control room, the queen and her advisors were already monitoring the incoming vessel. The soldier quickly analyzed the data, pointing out vulnerabilities and suggesting defensive maneuvers. His knowledge of tactics and human behavior allowed him to anticipate alien actions with surprising accuracy. "We can't let them breach the walls," he said. "If they do, civilians will be at risk. We must draw them into a trap, using their aggression against them." The queen nodded, impressed. "Very well, you will lead the operation. All decisions are yours to make." The next few hours were a blur of planning and preparation. Soldiers moved swiftly under the soldier's direction, setting up decoys, positioning drones, and reinforcing barriers. Alara watched, amazed by his ability to coordinate and inspire. She could see the respect he commanded, not through fear, but through action and skill. As night deepened, the alien ship approached, its engines glowing faintly against the dark sky. The soldier led the palace defense, directing every move, predicting every attack. When the first energy blast hit, it was caught by the reinforced shields. When the second blast came, it was deflected by strategically placed drones. Every maneuver was anticipated, and every attack met with precision. The battle was tense but brief. The aliens, unable to adapt quickly enough, were forced to retreat once more. The palace and its people were safe, thanks to the soldier's skill and leadership. After the battle, the queen summoned him to her private chamber. Her expression was unreadable, but her voice carried authority. "You have proven yourself more than capable," she said. "I recognize your value. You are extraordinary." He bowed slightly, his eyes steady. "I serve humanity, your majesty. That is all that matters." The queen studied him for a long moment. "I see that, and yet I also see someone who could be a part of this family if you choose. Someone whose loyalty and courage deserve recognition." He said nothing, simply nodding respectfully. Alara, who had followed the queen discreetly, felt a mixture of admiration and curiosity. There was something unspoken in the room, a bond forming, shaped by courage, duty, and respect. That night, as the palace quieted and the city lights shimmered, Alara walked to the outer walls. The soldier stood there, looking at the stars, seemingly lost in thought. She approached him, her heart pounding. "Why do you fight so hard?" she asked softly. "For duty, for loyalty, or something else?" He turned to her, eyes reflecting the moonlight. "I fight because it is right. I fight because people need protection. And I fight because humanity is worth it." Alara nodded, understanding for the first time the depth of his commitment. She knew that the challenges ahead would be greater, but she also knew that with him by their side, there was hope. And as they stood together under the twin moons, she realized that the man who had saved her life was more than a soldier. He was a protector, a guide, and a symbol of humanity's courage. The quiet of the night carried a promise that whatever dangers lay ahead, there were those among them willing to face it without fear, standing between the innocent and the unknown. The sun rose over Urindor, casting a soft, golden light across the city. The streets were quiet compared to the chaos of the last attack, but the tension remained. The citizens had returned to their daily routines, yet everyone could feel the unease. People whispered about the mysterious soldier who had protected the princess and led the palace defenses. Many were inspired, but fear lingered, like a shadow over the city. Alara walked through the palace halls, her mind focused on the upcoming preparations. The queen had called for a full review of the city's defenses, and Alara was determined to be part of it. She had spent the last few days learning from the soldier, observing how he thought, moved, and led. She could see the strength not only in his arms but in his mind. Every decision he made was precise, calculated, and based on careful observation of human behavior and enemy patterns. In the training grounds, the soldier stood among a group of soldiers, demonstrating advanced combat techniques. He moved with swift precision, correcting mistakes, and encouraging them to push past their limits. Alara watched from the sidelines, impressed by his ability to inspire confidence. Even the most hesitant soldiers gained courage under his guidance, learning that careful planning and courage could overcome fear. "Focus on your surroundings," he instructed, moving gracefully between trainees. "Predict the enemy's moves before they strike. Think, act, and protect each other. Your strength is not in your weapons alone, it is in your mind and teamwork." The soldiers repeated his words, absorbing his lessons, while Alara took mental notes. She realized that this man was teaching more than combat. He was teaching resilience, trust, and strategy. The knowledge he shared could save lives, not just in battle, but in the choices people made every day. Later, the queen arrived to inspect the defenses. She walked with her usual commanding presence, her eyes scanning the soldiers and the training exercises. When she saw the soldier leading the drills, she paused, recognizing not only his skill but his leadership. Unlike other soldiers who relied on rank and authority, he earned respect through action. "Impressive work," she said quietly, approaching him. "You are shaping these soldiers into more than just fighters. You are building a force that can think and respond." "That is rare among humans," he nodded respectfully. "We must prepare for more than strength alone. The attackers will adapt. We must do the same." The queen's eyes flickered toward Alara, who had been observing silently. She smiled faintly, recognizing the princess's growing admiration for the soldier. Yet there was more to it. Alara had begun to understand the value of intelligence, courage, and human ingenuity, qualities that the soldier embodied fully. As the day progressed, reports came in from scouts across the colony. Small alien ships had been detected near the outer sectors, moving stealthily toward human settlements. The soldier gathered the palace council and began planning a response. "We cannot allow them to strike our people," he said firmly, his voice steady despite the rising tension. "We must anticipate their movements, divide our forces wisely, and use every advantage we have. They rely on surprise and fear. We will use courage and strategy." Alara stood beside him, suggesting positions for defensive units and proposing communication lines between sectors. The soldier listened carefully, nodding at her ideas when they made sense, and adding adjustments where necessary. The partnership between them was forming naturally. Her knowledge of the city and people complemented his tactical genius. That evening, scouts reported that a larger alien ship was approaching. Unlike the first attack, this one was accompanied by several smaller vessels. They moved swiftly and silently, indicating a higher level of intelligence and planning. The palace council grew anxious, but the soldier remained calm, analyzing the patterns and predicting the likely points of attack. "We will divide our forces," he instructed. "Some will defend the city, some will secure the palace, and a small strike team will engage the aliens before they reach our walls. Speed, precision, and communication are key. Hesitation will cost lives." Alara volunteered to assist the strike team. "I want to help," she said firmly. "I may not fight like you, but I can support the team and ensure our plans are executed correctly." He looked at her thoughtfully. "You will stay close to me. Observation and coordination are just as important as combat. Your presence will make a difference." Night fell and the city braced for the attack. Soldiers took their positions and the strike team moved toward the outskirts. The sky was dark, illuminated only by the faint glow of the approaching alien ships. The tension was palpable. Every citizen felt the fear, yet many also felt hope, knowing that the soldier and the trained forces would face the threat head-on. As the alien ships came into range, the soldier led the strike team with unmatched precision. They moved through the shadows, avoiding detection, and struck the first wave of attackers with careful efficiency. Alara observed closely, relaying information about enemy movements and relaying it back to the main defensive forces. The battle was intense. The aliens had adapted since their last encounter, moving more strategically and targeting weak points in the human defenses. Yet the soldiers' planning and leadership allowed the humans to stay one step ahead. Every time an alien attacked, a human was ready, not just with weapons, but with strategy. In the midst of the chaos, Alara saw the soldier leap from cover to cover, striking down attackers and directing the movements of his team. His presence was commanding, yet he never seemed to hesitate or panic. Every decision was precise, calculated, and effective. The strike team succeeded in halting the alien advance, forcing them to retreat temporarily. Yet the soldier knew this was only the beginning. He returned to the palace to reorganize defenses and plan for the next wave. "Tonight has shown us their strength," he said to the council. "But it has also shown us our power. We will learn from this encounter, improve our tactics, and prepare for what comes next. We must not grow complacent." The queen nodded, clearly impressed by his ability to maintain focus even after a dangerous confrontation. "Your leadership is remarkable," she said. "You have not only protected us but strengthened our people." Alara felt a deep respect for him, not only for his skill but for his humility. Despite the victories, he never claimed glory. His focus remained on protecting others, teaching, and preparing for the challenges ahead. She realized that this was why the citizens had begun to see him as more than a soldier. They saw him as a guardian, a symbol of hope and courage. Over the next few days, the soldier continued training the forces, improving the city's defenses, and preparing for future attacks. Alara remained by his side, learning, observing, and assisting. Together, they created a plan that combined strength, strategy, and human ingenuity, a plan that relied not only on technology, but on the courage and intelligence of the people. One evening, the soldier and Alara walked along the outer walls, looking out over the city. The lights of the city twinkled below, and the stars above seemed calm and distant. Yet both of them knew that danger was never far away. "Do you ever wonder why they target us?" Alara asked softly. "Why Urindor?" "They see humanity as a threat," he said quietly. "Not because we are strong, but because we are unpredictable. We do not act like other species. We adapt, we learn, we protect, and we fight with more than weapons alone. That is why they come. That is why we must be ready." Alara nodded, understanding more about him with every word. "Then we will be ready, and we will fight. Not just to survive, but to protect everyone who cannot fight for themselves." The soldier looked at her, a faint smile crossing his face. "Exactly. That is what makes humans extraordinary. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to act despite it. And that is why we will endure." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alert. Sensors detected multiple alien ships approaching from a different direction. The soldier's eyes narrowed, and he immediately moved to the command center with Alara following. Inside, he analyzed the new threat, quickly adjusting the defensive plans. "They are testing us," he said. "This is a diversion. Their main force will strike where they think we are weakest. We must anticipate them and respond with precision." The soldiers moved quickly under his direction, taking positions and preparing for the attack. Alara coordinated communications, relaying information between units and ensuring that the defensive strategy was executed perfectly. When the aliens arrived, they found a city ready. Humans moved with coordination, strength, and intelligence, countering every strike. The soldier led with calm authority, striking at key points, predicting enemy moves, and inspiring his people to act without hesitation. By the end of the night, the alien ships had been repelled once more. The city was battered, but the citizens were alive, their spirits unbroken. The soldier stood among them, exhausted but composed, ensuring that all were safe. The queen approached him once more, her expression a mixture of admiration and consideration. "You have done more than protect us," she said. You have shown what humans are capable of when courage and intelligence guide their actions. You are extraordinary." The soldier bowed slightly. "I serve humanity, your majesty. That is all that matters." Alara watched him closely, feeling a deep respect and admiration. She realized that the bond between them had grown stronger, not through words, but through action, trust, and shared purpose. Together they had faced danger, led the people, and inspired hope. And as the sun rose over Urindor, painting the city in warm light, both of them knew that the battle was far from over. Yet they also knew that with courage, strategy, and unity, humanity could face any threat, even from the stars themselves. The city of Urindor had begun to heal from the last attacks, but tension lingered like a heavy fog. The soldiers trained tirelessly under the soldiers' direction, reinforcing defenses, improving communication, and preparing for every possible scenario. Alara moved through the palace, observing, learning, and assisting where she could. Every day she saw the soldier in action, watching him think, plan, and inspire others. She began to understand the depth of his skill, not just in combat, but in leadership, strategy, and human understanding. The queen watched these interactions with a mixture of curiosity and admiration. She had never seen anyone command respect and loyalty so naturally. The soldier's presence changed the palace. Soldiers no longer questioned orders. They followed them, trusting his judgment. Citizens felt safer, knowing that this unknown man could face danger and protect them without hesitation. Yet the queen could also sense that his loyalty was not to titles, nor to glory, but to something greater, the people themselves. One morning, reports arrived that shook the palace. A trusted official, responsible for coordinating city communications, had been caught transmitting sensitive information to an unknown source. The soldier immediately analyzed the data. "This is deliberate," he said quietly. "Someone inside the palace is aiding the attackers. We have been compromised." The queen's eyes narrowed. "Who would betray us from within? How could this happen?" The soldier's expression remained calm. "It is someone who believed that the attackers' goals align with their own interests. They underestimated the loyalty and courage of those defending this city, but we will uncover them and stop their plans before it is too late." Alara felt a chill run through her. The thought that someone they trusted could aid the enemy was terrifying. She looked at the soldier, whose steady gaze seemed to pierce through the chaos. He was already planning the next steps, his mind working faster than anyone else's in the room. The soldier quietly gathered a small team of trusted soldiers and began investigating the sabotage. He worked tirelessly, analyzing communication logs, observing behavior, and cross-checking every report. Alara stayed close, helping where she could, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing on her. It did not take long for them to uncover the traitor, a high-ranking advisor who had seemed loyal for years. The betrayal was subtle, almost invisible, but the soldier's keen mind detected inconsistencies, patterns, and deliberate attempts to mislead. When confronted, the advisor tried to deny everything, but the evidence was clear. The queen watched the confrontation unfold, impressed by the soldier's methodical approach. He did not act out of anger or vengeance. He acted with precision, ensuring that the traitor could not escape or cause further harm. The city's defenses were secure once more, and the citizens remained safe. The revelation of betrayal reminded everyone how fragile their security truly was. The soldiers, citizens, and palace staff all understood that danger was not only outside the walls, it could come from within. And yet, in facing this threat, the soldier had shown that humanity's greatest strength lay not only in weapons or technology, but in intelligence, vigilance, and courage. Days later, another alert arrived. A fleet of alien ships had been detected near the outer sectors, moving faster and with more coordination than before. The soldier immediately began planning the next defense, analyzing patterns from previous encounters and predicting their likely strategies. Alara observed closely, assisting with communication and organization. Together, they ensured that every soldier, drone, and barrier was in place. As the alien fleet approached, the soldier led a small strike team to intercept them before they could reach the city. Alara accompanied him, coordinating movements and relaying information. They moved through shadows, striking with precision and forcing the alien ships to retreat temporarily. The battle was fierce, testing both their courage and their intelligence. After the engagement, the queen called the soldier to her private chambers. Her expression was serious, yet there was a glimmer of admiration in her eyes. "You have done more than protect this city," she said. "You have shown what humanity can achieve when courage and intelligence are combined. I see now that your loyalty is not to a title but to what is right." The soldier bowed slightly. "I serve humanity, your majesty. That is all that matters." The queen paused, studying him. There was a moment of silence before she spoke again, her voice softer, almost personal. "And yet I also see someone I wish to claim, not as a soldier but as a part of this family. Someone whose courage, skill, and loyalty are worthy of recognition beyond duty." The soldier's eyes met hers, calm and unreadable. He did not respond immediately. Alara, who had entered quietly, felt a surge of surprise and curiosity. The queen's words were bold, declaring her intention to claim this man as her own protector, someone close to her not just for duty but for honor and trust. The queen continued, "From this moment you are officially recognized as the protector of this crown. Your loyalty and courage will be honored, and your presence will be valued within this palace and this family. You will be my champion." The soldier nodded slowly, understanding the weight of the declaration. He had never sought recognition or titles, but he knew that this acknowledgement from the queen carried responsibility, authority, and the chance to protect more lives. Alara, meanwhile, felt a complex mix of emotions. She admired the soldier deeply, not for titles or recognition, but for his bravery, intelligence, and moral compass. The queen's claim added tension, yet she understood the reasoning. The soldier's loyalty and skill were unmatched, and the queen had recognized that he could be a lasting guardian of the city and its people. The following days were a mixture of preparation and reflection. The soldier continued to train the forces, reinforce the defenses, and strategize against future attacks. Alara worked closely with him, learning, assisting, and observing. Their partnership had grown stronger, built on trust, respect, and shared purpose. Despite the queen's declaration, the soldier remained focused on duty. Titles did not change his mission. He continued to prepare for the next wave of attackers, knowing that their strength lay not in rank or honor, but in courage, intelligence, and unity. One night, as the twin moons rose over the city, Alara walked with the soldier along the outer walls. The air was cool, filled with the faint scent of flowers from the palace gardens and the lingering smoke of previous battles. "They are preparing," he said quietly, his eyes scanning the horizon. "The aliens will return stronger and more coordinated. We must anticipate them." Alara nodded, feeling both fear and determination. "Then we will be ready," she said firmly. "Together we can protect the people, the city, and everything we care about." He turned to her briefly, his expression unreadable but respectful. "Exactly. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to act despite it. That is what will allow humanity to survive and prevail." The next morning brought news that confirmed their fears. A large alien fleet was approaching the colony, moving with speed and precision. Scouts reported hundreds of ships, more than any previous attack. The palace council grew tense, but the soldier remained calm. He quickly devised a plan, dividing forces strategically, reinforcing weak points, and preparing the citizens for emergency protocols. Alara assisted him, coordinating communication between units and ensuring that every instruction was clear. Together, they created a defense that relied not only on weapons but on human ingenuity, strategy, and courage. The soldiers were inspired, their morale high, and even the citizens felt hope. When the alien fleet arrived, the battle was unlike anything Urindor had experienced before. The ships moved with incredible speed, striking in coordinated waves. The soldiers responded with precision, using tactics taught by the soldier. Alara relayed crucial information, ensuring that every movement was anticipated and countered. Despite the aliens' advanced technology, the humans held their ground. The soldier led from the front, striking at critical points, coordinating defenses, and inspiring those around him. The battle raged through the night, testing every ounce of courage, skill, and determination in the city. By dawn, the aliens had been forced to retreat. Urindor was battered but intact. The citizens cheered, knowing that they had survived not because of luck or machines, but because of courage, strategy, and the bravery of those who stood between them and danger. The queen approached the soldier once more, her expression soft but firm. "You have proven yourself extraordinary," she said. Your skill, courage, and loyalty have saved lives and inspired people. You are officially recognized as protector of this crown. The honor is yours." The soldier bowed respectfully. "I serve humanity, your majesty. That is all that matters." Alara stood beside him, feeling deep admiration and respect. She had witnessed his courage, intelligence, and moral strength, and she knew that his presence had changed everything for the better. Together, they had faced betrayal, danger, and overwhelming odds, and they had prevailed. And as the sun rose over Urindor, painting the city in golden light, the people knew that with courage, intelligence, and the right champions, humanity could face any threat and endure. The sky above Urindor darkened as the alien fleet approached, a mass of dark ships stretching. Across the horizon, the city trembled slightly at their arrival, but the people were not paralyzed with fear this time. They had learned from past attacks, guided by the soldier's leadership and inspired by his courage. Soldiers manned their positions, drones hummed in preparation, and civilians were guided to safe zones with efficiency and calm. Alara stood on the palace balcony, overlooking the city. Beside her, the soldier observed the approaching fleet with steady eyes. "They have learned from their previous failures," he said quietly. "They will attack with coordination and speed. We must respond in kind but carefully. Their strength is dangerous but predictable if we remain focused." Alara nodded, her hands gripping the balcony railing. "Then we will face them together. We cannot fail." He turned to her briefly, a faint acknowledgement in his eyes. "You have courage, princess. That is why you are important, not just to your people, but to humanity. Courage inspires others." The queen entered quietly, her expression calm yet resolute. "It is time," she said. "Lead us, protector. Show us what humanity can do." The soldier nodded and moved quickly to the command center. Alara followed, coordinating communication between soldiers stationed across the city. Every movement, every decision had to be precise. There was no room for error. As the first wave of alien ships descended, the humans struck first. Drones fired with pinpoint accuracy, intercepting energy blasts and disabling enemy vessels. Soldiers moved strategically through the streets, guided by the soldiers' orders, using barricades, decoys, and traps to slow the aliens' advance. Alara relayed information tirelessly, alerting squads to alien movements and ensuring the defenses adapted in real time. Despite the chaos, there was a sense of calm determination among the humans. They had learned to trust one another and, more importantly, to trust the soldier who led them. The battle intensified. Alien ships moved in formations designed to overwhelm human defenses. Yet the soldier anticipated their strategies, positioning forces to counter each wave. His movements were precise, his commands clear and concise. Whenever a soldier faltered, he was there to guide them, inspire confidence, and ensure the defense held strong. In the midst of the chaos, the soldier led a strike team through the outer sectors, targeting alien vessels attempting to bypass the city's main defenses. Alara stayed close, relaying information and helping coordinate attacks from above. She marveled at his focus, his ability to remain calm while danger surrounded them. Every step he took, every decision he made was calculated to protect the people of Urindor. Hours passed, and the alien fleet began to falter. Their formations were disrupted, their coordination weakened. The humans, united and guided by the soldiers' intelligence and leadership, turned the tide of battle. Drones disabled key vessels, soldiers cut off escape routes, and the city's defenses held firm. Amid the fighting, the queen observed from the palace, her eyes filled with pride. She saw her people stand strong, inspired by courage and strategy. And she saw the soldier, moving through the battlefield like a force of nature, protecting, guiding, and leading with unmatched skill. Alara found herself beside him during a critical moment. A massive alien ship broke through a section of the outer defenses, heading straight for a residential district. Without hesitation, the soldier led a small team to intercept it. Using precise maneuvers, he coordinated drone strikes, guided soldiers to weak points, and used the environment to their advantage. The ship was neutralized before it could reach civilians, and Alara felt a surge of relief and admiration. You saved them again," she said, her voice barely audible over the battle. He looked at her, expression calm. "I do what must be done, that is all that matters." As the battle continued, it became clear that the aliens were losing. Their technology, though advanced, could not match the humans' intelligence, adaptability, and courage. The soldiers fought not just with weapons, but with strategy and unity, following the soldiers' lead. Civilians supported them where they could, moving with coordination and assisting in every possible way. The Queen, seeing the alien fleet retreat, finally spoke aloud to the assembled leaders. Today, humanity has shown that courage, intelligence, and unity can overcome even the greatest threats. This city, this people, and this crown have survived because of bravery and wisdom, and because of one extraordinary man. The soldier, hearing her words, remained humble. He bowed slightly. "I serve humanity, your majesty, that is all that matters." The citizens of Urindor cheered as the alien ships vanished into the horizon. The battle was over. The city was battered but alive. People had survived not because of luck, nor because of superior technology, but because of courage, planning, and the willingness to act when danger came. In the aftermath, the Queen formally recognized the soldier as protector of the crown. He accepted the title, not for honor, but for the opportunity to continue protecting the people he had fought to save. Alara stood beside him, sharing in the quiet relief and pride that came from surviving what had seemed impossible. Over the next days, the palace and city worked to rebuild, strengthening defenses, repairing damage, and preparing for any future threats. The soldier continued to train the forces, improving their strategies and readiness. Alara remained at his side, learning and assisting, her respect and admiration for him deepening with each passing day. The Queen, meanwhile, acknowledged his importance not just as a protector, but as a symbol of humanity's courage. "You have proven that bravery, intelligence, and loyalty are the true strength of our people," she said. "You stand as an example to all of us." The soldier, ever humble, replied simply, "I serve humanity. That is all that matters." Alara walked with him along the outer walls one evening, looking out over the city bathed in the golden glow of sunset. "Do you ever think about the future?" she asked softly. "What comes next after all of this?" He glanced at her, eyes thoughtful. "The future is always uncertain, but humans have a strength that others underestimate. Courage, ingenuity, and the willingness to act, that is what will guide us. Whatever comes next, we will face it together." She nodded, feeling a sense of hope she had never known before. They had faced overwhelming odds, betrayal, and danger. Yet humanity had survived and thrived, guided by courage, intelligence, and the determination of those who refused to stand aside. The Queen joined them quietly, placing a hand on the soldier's shoulder. "You have done more than protect us. You have shown us what it means to be human. Today, we celebrate not only survival, but the strength that lies within all of us." The soldier bowed his head respectfully. "I do what must be done. Humanity's strength is its people, not any one individual. I am honored to serve them." The city of Urindor, under the watchful eyes of the Queen, the princess, and the soldier, stood stronger than ever. The citizens had learned that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the most terrifying threats. And the soldier, the mysterious protector who had risked everything, remained a symbol of hope and bravery. As the twin moons rose over the city, Alara looked at him and spoke softly. "You have changed everything. You have given us hope and courage and shown us what it means to protect humanity." He nodded, a faint smile crossing his face. "And that is why I continue to fight. Humanity is worth it, and so are the people I protect." The Queen watched from a distance, her heart proud and calm. She had declared him hers, not out of possession, but out of recognition. Recognition of the extraordinary courage, loyalty, and wisdom that had saved a city and inspired a people. And as the city slept under the twin moons, the future looked brighter than it had in generations. Humanity had faced the unknown and prevailed. Champions had emerged not from titles or rank, but from courage, intellect, and the willingness to act when it mattered most. The soldier remained vigilant, ever ready, knowing that threats might return. Alara and the Queen stood beside him in spirit and purpose, and the people of Urindor knew that they were protected, not just by walls or weapons, but by bravery, wisdom, and the extraordinary humans who stood between them and danger. The sun would rise again, and with it, humanity's courage would endure. Together they had survived. Together they had triumphed. Together they had proven that no matter the darkness, humans could stand, fight, and prevail. And in the heart of it all, one man, the protector of the crown, stood unwavering, a symbol of hope, strength, and the enduring power of humanity.